What's going on, everyone? Crush back here with another video. Hope everyone's doing great today. I know I am. And today we are on the final episode review / summary of The Last of Us show. Holy shit, we're already over. Man, that actually went by kind of fast, not gonna lie. And yeah, episode 9, of course, the very last episode, as I just said. And yeah, y'all know the vibe already. We're gonna start out with the summary, and then we're gonna end with the review, and you already know the drill. There's spoilers ahead, so if you haven't seen the show or the video game, let this be your warning. If not, then thou shalt be damned for life from spoilers, I guess. I don't even know what I just said, but anyway, moving on to the summary. Alright, so getting right into the summary. So we actually have a really cool entrance into this episode. We see someone that we've never seen before on screen, but we've heard, at least if you played the video games, you've heard this person's voice. If y'all know who Ashley Johnson is, or if you don't know, then she's the actress that plays Ellie in the video games, voice actress to be specific. I'm pretty sure she's just the voice actress. I don't think she does anything else, but in this show, in the very beginning, she's also an actress. You see her on screen, and she's pregnant in the scene, and she's running away from a zombie that's chasing her in the woods. She's struggling not to fall. She's running towards a house that you would see in the countryside. This specific house, it actually looks just like the house from The Last of Us Part 2, which may be foreshadowing, honestly, because it looks remarkably similar. But she's running towards that house. She's trying to take shelter away from the zombie because she's pregnant with baby Ellie. Yeah, she's Ellie's mom, which is actually pretty crazy. Ellie is actually Ellie's mom. Wow. But yeah, no, she barricades herself inside the house and puts a chair on one of the room doors that she's locked in so that the zombie will have problems getting in. And you can tell she's going through it. She's clearly in labor because you see a bunch of blood. You see that she's moaning and groaning, and yeah, not the good kinds either. Ashley Johnson's got a nice voice, but trust me, that's her acting was on point to make you feel uncomfortable because she's clearly giving birth. She's in a very uncomfortable situation, and there's a zombie trying to chase her and kill her, so you get the point. There's a little bit of pressure going on. Right when it looks like the baby's about to pop out, the zombie actually pops in first, and he busts through the door like the Kool-Aid Man, and he tackles Ashley Johnson, Ellie's mom, on the ground. Well, she was already on the ground, but even more on the ground against the wall, kind of like Lamar G. the Third, the throat goat, trying to catch the football to save the Ravens in the fourth quarter of an unwinnable game. But unlike the Ravens, Ellie's mom is able to actually come back and is able to kill off the zombie that's attacking her. Unfortunately, not before the zombie bites her, though. She gets bit by the zombie, but luckily for her, in a crazy time coincidence, right after she got bit, she gave birth to Ellie, which, dude, I don't know how the hell that happened, honestly. Did the zombie distract you? Was it kind of like being at the doctor's office and they give you that countdown for when you get a shot, but when they're on 2, they give it to you, and they just don't tell you, and you think it's coming, but it actually was over before you knew it? I feel like that's what happened here, because she looked like she did not realize that she pooped out a literal baby. On the side note as well, while watching that, I was eating fried chicken, and let me just tell you this. I'm not a lightweight or anything like that. I can stand blood and guts and shit, but I don't know, for some reason, there's just a part of me that hates seeing, like, babies pop out of vaginas or whatever while eating, so would not recommend eating while watching. 0 out of 10. Just a small reminder. So after she realized she gave birth, she cut off the what's it called again? The umbilical cord. She cuts off that, which is connected to the belly button, if y'all don't know, to the baby, which is how the baby gets nutrients and food and shit when it's in the mom's stomach. But Ellie's mom cuts that off before Ellie can get infected herself. Cut forward about 12 hours later, it's nighttime. Marlene's people arrived at the house. When she got there, she stated that she was sorry for being late, but that something was going on and that they couldn't get there until they got there. Kind of like how Mr. Incredible says, "We'll get there when we get there." That was pretty much Marlene and her group. But when they did get there, they realized that Ellie's mom gave birth to Ellie and that Ellie's mom was infected. Ellie's mom wanted Marlene to raise her kid and make sure Ellie was safe, and then shoot her in the head. Not Ellie. Not Ellie, just to make it clear. I just realized how that sounded. But Ellie's mom in the head. Marlene at first hesitates to kill Ellie's mom, and at first she just takes Ellie and walks away. But after giving Ellie to a soldier, and then telling the soldier to cover Ellie's ears, almost said Ellie's eyes. God, I'm such a retard today. Marlene went back and killed Ellie's mom, and then it's assumed that Marlene helped raise Ellie from there on. Now, cut forward to the episode where we're in present day. Ellie's just kind of in her own thoughts, just not listening to Joel or whatever, and not in the disrespectful way. She just got a lot on her mind, as anyone would if you went through the same shit she went through in the previous episode with Mr. Rapist David. Seriously, what was up with that dude? Call me father. I would not be surprised if that David dude literally became a priest just so that he could get bitches to, instead of call him daddy, but call him father. Alright, moving past my shitty joke though. Joel and Ellie are on the highway. They're in Salt Lake City trying to find the hospital, and they're making their way to the hospital. Joel is very conversational, unlike Ellie for once. He's actually talking more than her, I felt, and he was trying to lighten her mood up a little bit, giving her even a choice of going back if she wanted, and that she doesn't need to go with the Fireflies. And Ellie decides, you know what, let's go anyway, because this is pretty much what we've been doing this whole time. We've been trying to go from Boston all the way to Salt Lake City for the Fireflies, so why stop when we're right at the end? They also see a giraffe, which if you played the video game, you'd know exactly which scene I'm talking about. They feed it, and then they have a little more dialogue, and Joel actually tells Ellie a little bit about Outbreak Day and the days after Outbreak Day, when he tried to kill himself, and a few other things that were also mentioned in the episode, and just basically showing off that they've clearly bonded, and that Joel clearly views Ellie more as a daughter now than cargo. And yeah, it's looking really good. And while they're walking and looking for the Salt Lake City hospital, they get ambushed by some soldiers. They get flashbang. Joel's on the ground. He gets knocked out. Ellie's screaming. And then, cut forward a little bit of time later, Joel's waking up in the emergency room. Marlene's also in the room and basically tells Joel that the soldiers weren't expecting them and it was an accident, and that, you know, she basically explained the whole situation. Then she even complimented Joel a little bit. She's like, I lost half the Fireflies crossing the country, and somehow you're able to solo Ellie across the United States? Couldn't be done. It hasn't been done before, but you've done it. That's basically Marlene, just kind of pulling Joel's cock a little bit, just, you know, giving him some compliments and saying how she owes him. And Joel's like, yeah, whatever, where's Ellie? And Marlene reveals that Ellie is prepping for surgery and that she's going to undergo surgery, which shouldn't be a surprise if you played the video game. And that in order for the doctors to create an antidote with the cordyceps in her brain, that she's going to die because they basically have to split her brain open and get the cordyceps that would create a cure for the cordyceps brain infection. Joel obviously does not approve of this because Ellie's gonna die, and he tries to order Marlene to bring her down, but Marlene doesn't listen. Marlene instead gets two soldiers to escort Joel out and basically tells them that if he tries anything, then just kill him. Just kill him, because she knows how dangerous Joel is. If you made it solo with a little girl all the way across the country, granted it wasn't solo, but in her eyes it was solo, then you know this guy is about that life and you don't want to mess with him, okay? Because if you mess with him, something's going to happen, which was moments before disaster occurred, okay? So when Joel's being escorted out and when he's going down the staircase, he stopped a few times before they reached the staircase just to, I guess, see how the guards would react. And the third or fourth time, I wasn't keeping count, that he stops and the guard's like, keep moving, no one told you stop. Joel makes a quick move, grabs one of their guns, and is able to disarm and shoot both of them down. And he tries to get some info from one of them, but they weren't talking, so Joel just shoots him in the head. And then over the next couple of minutes, the only way I can describe this Joel scene, or scenes, y'all have seen Rogue One, right? Well, if you haven't, there's this one scene at the very end of the movie where Darth Vader is revealed, and he just goes on a massive killing spree, killing a whole bunch of rebels and making it look effortless. And while I'm not saying that Joel made everything look effortless, Joel basically went on that same killing spree in The Last of Us. He slaughtered so many Fireflies, so many. This dude was leaving mountains of dead bodies on the ground. There was even one dude who was trying to show Joel, hey look, I'm not a threat, I'll put my gun down and everything, and Joel just looks at him for a second, then just shoots him in the head. Dude wasn't playing. This is a girl, like basically his adopted daughter that we're talking about. So I get you doing that, but holy shit, my boy went off. After Joel's done being badass for a little bit and killing all the soldiers, he's able to find Ellie in the surgical wing. He sees 3 doctors, and one of the doctors made it clear that he's not going to let Joel take Ellie, and I'm pretty sure that this was Jerry Anderson, Abby's dad, which hopefully Abby was one of the bitches that got slaughtered in Joel's massive killing spree so that she doesn't appear in the show, because fuck her, she's a stupid bitch, I never liked her, you suck Abby, go fuck yourself, type deal, you know. But I'm pretty sure she will appear. But anyway, moving back on, and from my hatred of Abby Anderson, Joel pops the one doctor in the head, which again I assume was Jerry Anderson, the neurosurgeon, and he gives the other two doctors a choice to either step aside or die, basically. The other two step aside, Joel unhooks Ellie from whatever she's connected to, and then he escapes with her down to the parking lot, which is at the very bottom of the hospital. After Joel leaves the elevator and is in the parking lot, he sees a car that's just conveniently there, ready to go, and he's making his way out when suddenly Marlene pulls a gun on him, and I guess it was her car that was down there, because in The Last of Us, come on, where are you going to find a car that's just so conveniently ready to go? Besides your boy Bill's place, of course. But after Marlene shows up, though, she has the gun on Joel. She's like, you can still do the right thing. You can, you know, let us figure out what to do with Ellie. She'll save everyone, blah, 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 you know. Joel, though, ain't having none of it. Shoots Marlene, puts Ellie in the car. Then while Marlene's begging for mercy, Joel's basically like Emperor Palps, there is no mercy. And then pops her right in the head. And yeah, that's the end for Marlene. And then as Joel's driving away with Ellie, she starts to wake up. I'm probably a couple hours later, I would assume, something like that, based on the drug she was on. And Joel lies to her. He basically tells her that raiders raided the hospital, everyone died, there's others like you, blah, blah, blah. Just, again, if you've seen the video game, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And then the car eventually breaks down, probably a couple hours away. I think Joel said 5 hour. It was a 5-hour hike to get to Tommy's from where the car just died on them. While they're walking and making their hike to Tommy's after the car busted, Ellie makes Joel promise that everything he said was true. He says yes, which obviously, again, if you've seen the video games, you'll know what happens. But this was the end of the first season. It's that's pretty much it. I mean, I didn't really expect much more at the end. But hey, that was pretty dope, though. It was pretty dope. So I'm first going to give my review on this episode, and then I'm also going to give a review on how I thought the first season was, okay? So getting with the first episode, I would give this episode a 9 out of 10 because I thought everything was pretty good. Given what we got, honestly, with 45 minutes, I think that everything was pretty spot on the dot. I really loved the introduction. That was probably the best part just because that's new lore that we never got. At least on a live action screen, you know. We got to see Ellie's mom. And I even have a little theory now after seeing this episode. My theory is that maybe Ellie's mom didn't disconnect the how do you pronounce it? Umbilical cord, I think that's how it's pronounced, from Ellie in time. And I think that maybe if you get the cordyceps virus the way she got it, because she must have gotten a little bit of it from her mom, maybe she got some kind of mutated version, or maybe it just grows differently inside babies or something, and maybe that's why she's immune, because just based off the way she was born, how her mom got bit, but she was able to unhook from her mom before probably the whole infection was able to spread to her as well. That's my little theory, which, let me know what y'all think of that. It's probably not true, but it's just something cool to think up, in my opinion. But yeah, anyway, I love the introduction. Love how we got to see Ellie's mom and just a little bit more backstory with Ellie. And then from there, I thought everything was pretty on point. I think the only thing that was missing, at least that I care about, was that I really wanted to see Ellie and Joel fight infected together. There was a few scenes in the video game, especially after Joel was saved from Ellie when she was able to get that med kit and was able to give medicine, that Joel and Ellie fought together and fought infected zombies together with guns and everything. It wasn't just Joel doing all the heavy lifting. And I know we got a little bit of that in a couple episodes ago with the Raiders and Henry and Sam, stuff like that. But we never really got to see Ellie with a gun and Joel with a gun fighting zombies alongside each other. So I think that if we had that in the middle of the episode before they got introduced to the Fireflies in this episode, it would have been a little bit better, but I'm not going to take off that much points for that because the episode itself was pretty good. The way Joel and Ellie were discovered by the Fireflies in this episode, I thought was pretty solid. I have no complaints over that. And then The whole killing spree Joel went on in the hospital, I thought that was awesome, I'm gonna be honest. It was just like a nice montage of just showing Joel when he just loses it, when he completely loses it. It's kind of like Kratos when he goes into Spartan rage. You just can't control this dude. He'll just do whatever the fuck he wants. And then from there until the end, everything else was pretty on point as far as I can see. There may have been a few little details missing, but nothing to be that concerned over. Yeah, that's how I would rate this episode as a whole. 9 out of 10 for sure. Now, getting with the series as a whole, this actual show I thought was good. It was definitely a lot better than what I thought, because everyone started roasting the shit out of this series when we first saw the cast list. There's nothing wrong with the cast, just so we're clear, but when you see how the original Last of Us cast looks in the video game versus the actual show, then it's kind of memeable. It doesn't look that much like the characters in the video game that we all know and love. It looks different. But in this case, we really had nothing to worry about since the actors are just too fucking good at their roles. So Pedro Pascal is definitely the best one, even though there's a crazy amount of good actors in this, like the girl that plays Ellie, the woman that plays Marlene. I don't know any of their names. I'm so sorry, y'all. But the casting was perfect for their roles when it came to the acting. But when it came to the actual episodes for the most part were really good. But there was definitely stuff that they cut out that I feel they shouldn't have cut out. And they had stuff that were in the episodes that I feel weren't necessary. An example of what I'm trying to say is in the first episode, we literally don't have a Robert death scene. We don't see when Joel and Tess beat all of Robert's men and then get to him and brutally murder him. We just see him dead in a room with Marlene. That's pretty much all we get. And then we get episodes like Season 1, Episode 3, long time ago, which is basically just a rom-com, The Notepad, I think it's called, or The Notebook, which is just a romance episode of Bill and Frank, which I'm not hating on the episode. I actually probably liked it more than most, I'm gonna be honest, but I just thought a lot of that episode was unnecessary when we could have used that time for scenes like when Joel and Tess are hunting down Robert, for example, instead of seeing Bill and Frank in a bed. It has nothing with them being gay. I mean, I'm not personally into gay stuff, but I'm just saying, you know, it would have been a lot cooler if they were to prioritize scenes over just stuff that doesn't really matter that much. Especially if you're going to die anyway. Like, who gives a shit? Oh man, I'm such a piece of shit for saying that. That's probably the biggest example I can really name. I would say that everything else, even if it's not on point with the video game storyline, I thought everything else was pretty good. I do think, kind of like what I said within the last episode, that they could have had more action. They could have had more Joel versus the Clickers and the Infected. Along with Ellie fighting with him against the Infected. They didn't really have much of that at all. We really only had that in the second episode, along with a trickle of other episodes. Endure and Survive episode 5 was probably the second episode with a lot of Infected, but besides that, we didn't really get to see too much of the Infected when they're the main enemy. And then there's even smaller stuff that I do complain still about sometimes. Like in episode 5, for example, I had a lot of complaints with that one because I just felt it was rushed. That's the problem with shows versus a video game or a book in general. When you have a show, you can't have every single little detail that you'd have in a video game or a book. So sometimes missing the small stuff really can make the episodes not as enjoyable. Such as, like I said, in episode 5, the story is kind of rewritten, but not quite. It's still the general, like, the Joel and the crew is being hunted. But when it comes to, like, Sam's turning and Henry's death in that episode specifically, which is a big scene when Henry kills himself, it's not as emotional as the video game has it. The music isn't on point, and it's just kind of rushed. And there was a few of those throughout the series, but that's more of the smaller things. Did we get most big scenes that were in the video game story? Yes, we did. So I'm kind of being a hard ass with that last example, but those were just my general complaints with the whole series. And while I'd rather the characters look as close as possible to how they do in the video game, given what we had, I don't think it was bad at all. I think the show was pretty good. I think if you're willing to keep an open mind, and as long as you're not looking for every single little detail to match up with the video game, I think that you'll enjoy it. Even if you've never played the video game before, it's still a good series to watch. But I think my favorite part with this whole series as a whole, though, was how they had the little answers to the questions that we never got. The biggest one with the last episode that came out with Ellie's mom, we got to figure out what happened to her. And like I said with my little theory, I think that partially has something to do with why Ellie's immune to being infected. And I just thought it was really cool. And yeah, I think HBO did a good job. Naughty Dog as well. Y'all did really good with this series. I don't care what anyone says, this series is definitely really good. Maybe I'll rewatch it. I'm not sure if I will though, but definitely not bad at all. Was it the best series? No. Was it terrible though? Absolutely not. It was pretty good. It was really good. So what would I give this whole series? I would probably give it an 8. Just because, again, there were some episodes that just weren't that good or did not have what I think they should have had, and that I would have done way differently if I were writing the episode. But for most of the episodes, they were mostly all enjoyable, and yeah, I look forward to the second season. I really hope that, I can't stress this enough, I really hope they don't take The Last of Us Part 2 storyline. That shit is so terrible. I just hated that so fucking much. And if they do that, then the show's it's gonna stop there. I'm calling it, because literally half of the fucking fan base hates the second game. So I just don't see how they would pull it off if they took that storyline. But like I said, they made a bunch of changes in this series versus the video game. So who knows what they might do. And they're not idiots. They know about that. So, but anyway, yeah, 8. Maybe 8.5, depends on the episode we're talking, or maybe you can debate me in saying 8.5, but let me know what you guys thought of the last episode, along with the whole series, because I enjoyed it, and let me know if you agree with what I said. If you don't, let me know what you think, because I obviously love hearing people's opinions, and if I'm wrong, then I'll accept it, or if you just have a better idea, or a better, I guess, point of view on the series, let me know, and I'll take your opinion into consideration, and I'll respect it, you know? But anyway, y'all, I'm gonna wrap it up here. This series was a blast doing. I really like making these videos. Let me know if I should keep doing this, because I normally don't do this, but because this series was such a big thing, I felt like I really wanted to do it and just try something different, and I feel like this series was a success, so let me know if I should do more of these, and if so, what show do you want me to do next? But anyway, y'all, as always, it was fun seeing all of y'all here. Either subscribe, donate, or get the fuck out, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.